back to Joe and Di's allotment channel. I'm Joe and Di's behind the camera. We're in week 1 of August now. Bit like the previous few months, it's a busy month still, but it's a sort of transition period now. We're now starting to sort of come to the end of some of the crops, and we're still sowing stuff for the autumn and for the winter, but sort of the tomatoes in the greenhouses, they're sort of they're going red now, a lot of them. They're still sort of producing a very few now. They won't produce that many more this time of year. Saying that, there's a few flowers at the tip here, so but yeah, I mean, they're starting to go red, so we'll harvest these today. But yeah, so we've still got lots of harvesting to do. We've still got sowing to do, even in August. We've got a lot of sowing to do. We've still got planting out to do for successional crops that we've been planting into modules. So they're like sort of plug plants. We put those out into the allotment soon. It's been a very strange year this year. I mean, it's been so dry, and obviously we had the heat wave, so it's done a bit of damage as well. I'll show you later when we go down the allotment, but some of our sort of crops have been damaged now, so we might have to sort of give up on a couple of them and pull them out of the ground now. But yeah, it's been a very strange year. It's been continual watering, and the only thing that surprises me, the weeds keep on growing still. There's been no rain, but the weeds somehow still find the strength to sort of keep popping out of the ground. So it's sort of weeding. It's not as much as normal, I suppose. The weeds are a bit less than they are normally this time of year, but they're still growing, and it's been a continuous process of sort of trying to keep crops alive by watering at the moment. So we've got a lot of sowing to do this morning in modules and pots. So what we do is we plant them in pots, and we use them like a plug plant. So the first thing I'm going to do is spring onions. It's a white Lisbon spring onion. Takes about 21 days to germinate, and they should be ready in about 4 months to pull in bunches. So what we do is plant them in pots, and just plant the whole pot into the ground, and then use that as a sort of bunch of spring onions. Pull them out one at a time, basically. So we do those first. So these go about 1 centimetre deep. And I'll sprinkle them sort of evenly in the pot, so we get a sort of nice bunch of onions in one go, really. So there's still quite a lot of planting we can do in August. I just sprinkle them gently. So there's 6 or 7 in each bunch, is quite sufficient, I think. That's it. That'll do. And we'll just cover them gently, 1 centimetre deep. What was that in there? Lump of wood can come out. We'll firm these down. They've been pre-watered already, so they're nice and moist. As I said, about 21 days to germinate. Give those a nice firming down. So these are the ones planted earlier. So they're sort of germinating now. And we've got another successional planting which is due to go out this week as well. So this is the third follow-on, so to speak. So the next thing I'm going to sow is some spinach, some perpetual spinach beet, a spinach called Giant Winter, another spinach called Matador, and some chard. So what I'll do is sow them into pots, and I'll prick them out when they get large enough to handle. Then they'll go into the plot later on. So they take about 12 to 20 days to germinate, and they should be ready in sort of between 8 and 14 weeks. So the first one I'm going to do is spinach beet, which is a nice sort of large seed, perpetual spinach. So put them in the pot and spread them out quite well. Prick them out later when they germinate. So we've still got some growing down the allotment, but it's sort of coming to an end now. There's a bit in the garden as well. That's those done. So the next one we're doing is chard, and they look very similar to the perpetual spinach seeds. Spread those out as well. These will be pricked out later as well. Try and get a few in each pot. Press those in. So these are matador spinach, so these are real spinach, unlike chard and perpetual spinach, which are members of the beet family. And spread those out as well. A few more of those, I think. Can always prick them out later. And this spinach variety is called Giant Winter. It's quite a small seed for a giant's winter. Put those in there. That's it, we'll cover all those over in a minute. It's alright, I'll just firm them down. Just give these a firming in. So the perpetual spinach and the chard go a little bit deeper, or a bit more covered, because they're sort of larger seeds than the spinach ones. That's those done. We like to grow a lot of cow. We use it, we dehydrate it and use it in a lot of our recipes. So I've got 3 varieties here. We've got a curly scarlet, which I haven't grown before. It looks quite nice. We've got a black magic, which is one of our favourite ones, and some red Russian. So we'll do those next. So I'll do the curly scarlet first. And these are very, very hardy plants. I mean, we won't transplant them to they're sort of 4 to 6 inches high. So they should germinate in sort of 7 to 12 days. And they'll stay in the ground all over winter, so the cold doesn't worry them too much. Do the red Russian next. So these only get covered sort of very lightly. They're quite a small seed. And these are black magic, which is one of our favourite varieties. What's that? So these should be germinated in 7 to 12 days. They've been pre-watered, but I will keep them moist because it's still pretty hot. So doing some red giant mustard, red leaf variety. That's the end of the packet actually. So yeah, I mean we do these successionally. They're lovely in salads. A little bit left, I'll keep that. So they go about 1/4 inch deep, and they should be ready in sort of 6 to 8 weeks. So doing 2 varieties of lettuce, a continual successional cropping as well. Little Gem and Lolo Rosso. Little Gems are sort of not a loose leaf variety. This one's a loose leaf variety. This one's a more sort of a compact variety. So sow these sort of quite thinly and prick them out when they're ready to be pricked out. So these are the Lolo Rossos. So we only need a sort of 6 to 8 really. There's probably too much in there again, but you can always give them to family and friends if you've got too many. They don't go to waste. And some Little Gem as well. That's probably too many as well. So these should germinate sort of 7 to 10 days, and they should be ready for putting in sort of 8 to 10 weeks. So these coriander, so they take about 14 to 21 days to germinate, They take quite a while. And what we do is, once the greenhouse empties out, we can put some of these into the greenhouse as well. Once we've taken out all the tomato plants, if these are sort of about the right size at the right time, we can put some of these into the greenhouse for overwintering. So just give these a firming in. I mean, there are other things you can sort of still sow in the week 1 of August. You can still sow spring cabbages or oriental greens as well. Can still be sown this time of year. So I'll give them another little sprinkle, and they'll stay in the garden now until they're ready either for transplanting or planting out on the plot. Get a little wet. That's it. So we've got our next successional planting to do, plug plants. We've got some lettuces, we've got some radish, spring onions, coriander and parsley. We've got some mustard and two types of beetroot, boltardi and cilandra. So we've got all those to put into this bed. What we did last night, we watered it thoroughly last night, so it's absorbed a bit of the water. It's so dry at the moment. It was unbelievably dry. We gave it a thorough watering last night, so hopefully we'll put the plants in and we'll give it another watering now. It's got a good root system, and it will take off as soon as we put it into the soil and keep it watered, hopefully. So just make sure we put it in and firm it in nicely, and we'll give it another watering now. So these are the low Rossos. So we'll get these done, and then we'll do some more. So we've got 2 little rows of lettuces there, low Rossos and little gems, a little bit of radish at the end there. Now I'm going to put in some little clumps of spring onions. This one's got a lettuce growing in it as well, I'll leave it there. So we put them in, firm them in, and we'll try and leave a little ditch around them so it's easier to water as well. They should pick up quite easily. So that's that section filled up with low Rosso little gem lettuces. We've got some radish there, some spring onions, we've got coriander, parsley, mustard, rocket, and 2 types of beetroot. We've got boltardi and cilandra. And what we've done is filled up the end of the bed with some cow that we had left over in pots. They might be a bit close together, but we'll crop them as soon as we've got some leaves on them. And what we'll do is we'll cover them over with netting now to stop the pigeons getting to them. So what I'll do first, I'll harvest the tomatoes in here to start with. There's some nice big ones here. So got a nice little crop out of the greenhouse there, and a couple of peppers as well. So yeah, I mean that's you might have to think of a way of sort of preserving them soon. So maybe cook them down into sort of bolognese sauce with some garlic and onions. So that might be one way of preserving them. Just have a think about it. The basil that we chopped down a couple of weeks ago to dry sort of regenerated. We chopped it off and it's starting to come back to life again and regrow, so we'll get another crop out of that in the next few weeks. So yeah, it's not a bad little crop. We've got some nice peppers forming as well. Some nice big ones there, lovely. Good stuff. These ones are turning colour now. Another red one there, I'll take that. So yeah, that's good. Just checking our sweet corn, and this one's been attacked by something. It's eating right down to where it can sort of pull the leaves away. I'm not sure whether it's a bird or a rodent, rat, mice, don't know. If you've got any ideas, let us know in the comments box. But yeah, I think what we'll do is we'll put maybe a bit of wiring around it to stop anything else attacking it. So these are the earliest carrots we planted into the greenhouse on the 25th of February. So it's an early nonce variety. We're going to pour them out and see what we got. That's a lot by the look at it. Oh, here we go. Oh, they're only tiny. That was a bit of a poor show. I suppose I didn't thin them out. That was the main issue. But yeah, we'll still use them. We'll put them into our bouillon mixture, I think. So we can dry them and powder them and add it to the bouillon mixture. So the end of July or beginning of August is a good time to harvest onions. We've got some shallots and onions to harvest. We've got some over there, some over here, and shallots here amongst the weeds, if we can find them amongst the weeds. Yeah, I mean, we'll dig them all out today. Take a moment. I've made a sort of drying rack for them in the garden, and we'll take them home and dry them. Once you've dried them, they can last for quite a while in storage, as long as you dry them thoroughly. Let the skins cure, and they'll last for ages. So yeah, we'll get on and do those now. Loosen them up a bit. Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad, the shallots. Looking quite good. So you can pickle some of these if you want to as well. Oh, a nice little diddly one there. Yeah, so it's just a matter of taking them home and curing them. So the onions come out of the ground quite well. Just a matter of taking off some of the loose skin. You can leave the stalk on it, that'll dry off on its own. And we prefer to grow the red onions rather than the white onions because they're nutritionally better for you and slightly more expensive in the shops as well, although onions are very, very cheap. They don't taste as good as the ones you grow yourself though. So we've harvested all shallots. They're looking quite, some nice sized ones there actually, not too bad. So they're the shallots. I think they were red sunset, I think. We've got the red onions, quite a nice size, some of them, just to take home and dry. And these are the ones we grew from seed, which I'm quite pleased with. Not done bad, quite a nice size, some of them. Not bad. So we'll take all these home and dry them. So we just harvested some outdoor tomatoes and outdoor pepper, lovely. And we're starting to harvest the plums now as well. They're ready. I think we'll have to harvest quite a few this week because they don't last long before the parakeets come along and have a nice meal. So we'll harvest a lot this week and maybe dry some as well. So harvesting some marrows today as well. Nice size. So yeah, we love the courgettes, but we also love to harvest and store some marrows for the sort of autumn, winter months really. Found if we used to keep them in the shed before, and I think they used to sort of rot away quite quickly as soon as the first sort of frost came along. But if we keep them indoors, give them a good wash and keep them indoors, they last months and months and months. I think they lasted all the way through to sort of February, March last year. So really good. There's got quite a few. Not sure if that one's a courgette or a marrow really. That's not a bad little harvest. We've only got 6 courgette marrow plants, and we picked a few earlier in the week as well, so we're having a good crop from those this year. So we're harvesting some more climbing beans. We've been watering them like crazy, so we are getting a bit of a crop now, but we'll just harvest the soft ones. Any that are starting to form sort of beans inside, we'll leave, like these ones here, we'll leave these to produce seeds, and we'll harvest those at the end of the period when it dries up. This one's already starting to dry up already. So we've just picked some black berries, very few raspberries, quite a lot of plums though, they're looking good. Some beetroot, and some more apple cucumbers. So yeah, so other jobs you can do this week are continual weeding, obviously, continual feeding of tomatoes and other sort of crops that are still producing. I should be earthing up the leeks, but they're still not big enough to earth up, so I'll leave those another week or so, I think, for the stems to get a bit thicker before I can start earthing those up. So yeah, it's just a bit of a mixed bag this week. Hope you've enjoyed week 1 of August video. Give us a thumbs up if you have, and if you'd like to follow our journey into week 2, please use the subscribe button at the bottom and follow our journey into the following week. Thank you very much.